Welcome to Business Amplified with host Kevin A. Dunlap.
This podcast is for small business owners aiming to amplify their enterprises.
Explore strategies to play a bigger game by becoming an author, public speaker, podcast host, or expanding your brand in other ways.
Elevate your business on Business Amplified.
This is Kevin Dunlap with Business Amplified, and today we have a phenomenal guest that we're going to have on our show today. Now, one of the things I always want to make sure that everybody does that is listening to this show, that they realize that for you to really grow your business, you oftentimes would have to get out of your comfort zone and start doing something differently. And this is by exposing yourself more to the public. This could be through becoming an author, a podcast host, YouTube host, public speaker, and a number of other things. And today we have a guest today that is a phenomenal expert in the podcast world. In our pre-interview, we were just talking to him. He's launched over 20 different shows that he has under his belt. And I can't wait to hear what he's going to be sharing with us today. So our guest today is Sean Douglas. Sean, welcome to our show.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I'm glad you're part of one of our initial series for this podcast. And the fact that you're also a podcast host yourself, and if you're those of you that are watching us on YouTube, he's showing off some of his podcasts in his background. He's also a TEDx speaker, so he also has public speaking under his belt, and he also helps people, to my understanding, with them launching their show. So tell us, Sean, tell us a little bit about who you are, what is it you do, and how long have you been doing this?
Yeah, our team creates, launches, and monetizes podcasts, speaking businesses, books for authors, online and offline businesses, coaching programs, products, or services. Anything that you want to launch and monetize, we help you create it. We help you create the category around it. So we're just a bunch of category designers, which we believe is the number one reason why businesses and podcasts and everything that you create doesn't thrive the way that you want it to, is because you never created a category around the object.
Okay, so tell us about that, because you also mentioned that you help authors as well. As you may or may not know, Sean, I am a 4-time author, so I've actually self-published starting all the way back in 2015. So tell us a little bit about those services, these categories that you create for the people that are creating that content.
Yeah, the marketplace will position you regardless. So either you position yourself or the marketplace will position you. And once the marketplace positions you, it's a wrap. They're going to tell you what you do. They're going to be the voice of your brand. And that's not what you want. You want to position yourself, and you position yourself by creating a problem that only you can solve. And then once you create that problem, you market that problem, not the solution. If you look at social media, buy my book and buy my stuff. Oh, it's so good. Look at all my features. Look at all my benefits. And look at all this. Oh my gosh, you can't live without it. I'll show you how to do this. And you're going to be living the lifestyle on the beach. You're going to be sipping Mai Tais by noon in Mexico. Like, I'm going to make you millions of dollars. You're going to be so happy. Like, nobody actually knows what you do. All you're doing is selling a dream. You're selling a solution and you're selling a dream. Do you want more time? Do you want more energy? Do you want more money? Well, who doesn't? Oh, wait, there's more. You know, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's everything on social media is sales, everything. So what do we do? Our habits are, we Google a problem, right? How do I do this? I have a problem. How do I launch a show? I need to launch a show. That's my problem. How do I launch it? How do I get booked to speak? How do I become a TEDx speaker? I've spoken on the TED stage 3 times. How do I do that? How do I change my oil in my car? My furnace went out. How do I change? If you look at all of Google, it is nothing but people searching for answers or solutions, right, to their problem. So if you look up the keyword planner and what people are looking for, then you can start to figure out, like, okay, how do I want to approach people? People don't go to the store to buy Tylenol because of the brand. They go to the store to buy Tylenol because they have a headache and they need to get rid of the fever and they need to get rid of the headache. They're buying Tylenol to solve a problem. They're not buying a box of solutions off the shelf. And most people, most marketers, well, I'd say all marketers, but most marketers ruin everything. And so they just constantly like, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Come on, come on, come on. Buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. They don't even know what you do. They don't even know what it does. They don't know why they should buy it. Like, you're not compelling. When you create a category and you say, I am planting my flag here. This is where I stand, right here. And you plant your flag on the hill and you pick the hill worth dying on and you create the problem and then you market that problem, then you get ahead. Then you win. And that's what we do. We create the problems and then we solve them, but then market those problems and exacerbate those problems, not the solution. Oh, by the way, we've got the medicine. We've got the cure, by the way. However, you're suffering from this and suffering from this. Oh man, that's a huge deal. If you don't get this taken care of, it's like we go to a doctor. If you don't get this taken care of, your life expectancy is not going to be great. You should probably change your diet. You should probably do that. You should probably stop smoking. If you don't stop smoking, you're going to get cancer. It's probably going to happen. You see what I'm saying? The doctor's not like, that smoking, we got the solution for that. They're not selling you a solution. They're telling you what's going on. Like, your body is messed up. Your body is sick. So here's what you need to do. If you don't do this, right? And they just keep exacerbating the problem because they want you to make health changes. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Be like that. Be like that. That's what we do.
Well, one of the things that I talk about, and maybe you do something similar to this, is that I always say that as far as, let's say, a business coach is concerned, is whenever you discover what the problem that they have and the solution that you're going to be solving for them, usually, in my opinion, that new solution is actually going to cause another problem that you can also solve.
Correct.
And
it's never ending.
Exactly, because one of the examples that I use is, what if somebody wants to find that perfect love? They want to have that perfect relationship, but they're not dating anyone. So maybe you become like a dating coach. But the thing is, now that they're dating each other, it's like, well, how do you guys live together, or how do you keep dating each other, or how you live together, and then they find out that he's a snorer. So each problem that you solve is going to create another problem that you can also be solving as well. And secondly, if for some reason you cannot solve that problem, then that's where you have affiliate partnerships.
Yeah. And the problems that keep on coming should also get bigger or should increase. I want to date somebody. How do I date somebody? Okay, now I'm dating somebody. How do I live with them? That's a bigger problem. Oh man, now that I'm living with them, like, why should I get married? And that's a bigger problem. Should I have kids? Should we buy a house? Should we retire? Like, the problems should get bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So that you solve the next one is the bigger problem and the bigger problem and the bigger problem and the bigger, like, that's how it should go. If you really think about it, right? How do I launch a business? Okay, my business is generating $1,000 a month. How do I scale that to 10,000? Okay, now my business is generating $10 million a year. Oh man, how do I get it to 100? How do I get to $100 million? What, don't I need a financial coach or a lawyer or something? Like, I got millions of dollars pouring into my business. Like, I should probably protect myself. See what I'm saying? Like, you're always growing and scaling, and so are the problems.
Well, and the other way to look at this is also, in my opinion, is also like a reverse engineering. Let's say you solve this really big problem, but the thing is, for you to solve that problem, there could be other problems that come before that as well, and reverse engineering all the way back down. That way, you're not trying to come up with, "Hey, I've got this idea. This is the big solution I'm going to provide." Like, well, no, technically, you can be doing a lot. So you can either start from point A going through point Z, or starting from, say, point M, backtrack it to point A, and then also forward track it to N through Z as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so how long have you been an expert doing this kind of stuff? Because you said you have over
since 2016.
podcasts.
I'd say since 2016, I guess. I got 10,000 hours of speaking. I built my first business in 2004. We were making $650K in 2008. Got out of that business. Got into another one in 2010. So a couple years later, I built another one. got out of that in 2013, got out of that, spent some time kind of doing some leadership and professional development and some coaching and some other stuff. And then in 2016, launched my other one. And then in 2019 or 2020, it was 2020, we launched another
2020 was
business.
COVID.
Yeah. So we launched another business. So I've launched 4 businesses while serving in the military.
Oh, now tell us a little bit about that. I read from your bio that you were in the Army. Were you enlisted in military, and how long did you
Yeah, I
serve?
was. Yeah, I was in the Air Force for 20 years and 4 days. So I started off as
4 days count.
right. Oh yeah, it counts. I started off as an F-15 crew chief, and then I eventually worked on F-16s, F-22s, A-10s. I worked security forces, worked convoy duty. Then I became a drill instructor, learned how to teach and coach and train and mentor and speak. And that took me to becoming an evaluator. That took me to QA. Then it took me to a deployment manager, and then I retired.
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, thank you for your service. I mean, I did only just under 5 years in the U.S. Navy, but the thing is, for
Okay.
me, it was a huge thing for me because I went in at that time, back in the 80s, under what was known as the nuclear power program. So I went in as an E3
Oh, I've heard of
enlisted.
that. Yeah, I've heard of that.
And then luckily, for whatever reason, I did not actually go to nuke school, but I got transferred to the fleet, and that was probably one of the biggest eye-opening experiences of my life because I was stationed for 2 tours on 2 different ships out of Yokosuka, Japan. So I was able to travel the world. I was able to live with the Japanese people, and we saw 14 different countries. So that really, from a small kid from a small town in Northwest Florida, that was a huge experience for me.
Yeah. That's awesome. Love that. My first duty station was England.
Well, fantastic. How do you enjoy living with the
Oh,
Brits?
oh, it was great. I loved it. Loved it. Got to see. I mean, you're there in Europe, man. Like, why not travel everywhere? Plus, I'm in a English speaking country, which was, honestly, like if you're to go to a European country, go where you speak the language. Like, you know what I mean? It's nice to explore. It's nice to, try to get around and stuff, but it's not as much fun when you can like actually talk to the locals and talk to people and like all that stuff. So being in England was great. Then I went to Scotland, you know, traveled all around there, went to Ireland, traveled all around there, then went to Norway, and then it got into like weird languages. And then, I went to Italy and Germany, and it was like, and you just try, but you would, you would not believe how many locals, people originally from Germany and Italy and Spain, Austria, Belgium, that speak their language, but also know English. It's almost like everybody's a two language person over there. And here I am, this
Oh,
American, just I know one. Well, I mean, I was raised Polish, so of course I know some Polish. I know Italian, I know Spanish, enough to get around. And I can navigate in the language. That's it. Holding a conversation, not gonna happen.
Well, this is one thing I found out about people that are from England and then other parts of Europe. You said that they are all bilingual. I go, probably not. They probably speak 3 or 4 or possibly 5 different languages.
100%. You're not wrong. I know people who like I have someone in my life who speaks English all the time, but then when they're at their one family's house, they speak like Italian, or their one family's house, they'll speak French, and another house they speak this other language. I'm like, how many freaking languages do you know? Like, this is crazy, but that's just
Well,
that's just how they are.
I've got a very good friend of mine. She's Indian that lives up in Vancouver, and it's so funny
Yeah.
'cause the version Indian language that she speaks is called Punjabi. And it
Punjabi,
was so
yep.
funny because she was on TV, and she was a co-host on this Indian TV show. The host of the show was speaking in Punjabi. She was answering in English. Like, just watching a conversation with 2 people in completely different languages.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. Very
But
cool.
so one of the things I always like to find out, 'cause as people are trying to grow their businesses, they're going to be hit with all kinds of challenges. So
Yeah.
if you're willing to share, what kind of challenges have you been hit with that you would like to share, and how did you overcome those?
Influx, or I would say the roller coaster of money. Some months you're hot. Some months you're hot. You got clients flying in, man. It is great. And then other months you're like, I literally have no clients. Like, what is going on right now? Like, I don't understand.
Grasshoppers going.
So the up and down roller coaster, sometimes you got thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands rolling in, which is great if you're not spending it all. Because in the months that you don't have clients coming in, you're like, what do I do for money? Why is my marketing not working? Like, what is going on? Like around Christmas, like people are launching podcasts at Christmas, people are going on vacations during the summers, so it kind of like dips down a little bit in the summer. New Year's, of course, everybody wants to new year, new you. So business starts to pick up a little bit, you know what I mean? But it just depends on what's going on, what's the economy doing, the time of the months and all that. And so I would say that you have to make sure that either you got some passive income that just rolls right in off of the Facebook ads or social media ads or whatever ads you're taking out Google. You got programs, products, services that you're constantly selling. You're getting out there on podcasts, speaking, like you're always out there doing something. Don't just rest. Don't just be like, oh, I got a TEDx speak. I made it. I made it now. Everybody wants to hire me now. I've done 3. People are banging on my door. Not too many. I get an email or 2 a week. I get a Facebook message or 2 a week. I get text messages. People do reach out, a couple times a week, which is great. But I don't have tens of 20, 30, 40 people, tens of hundreds of people banging down my door, knocking down my email list, trying to get me on their stage. I wish. I don't have somebody going, hey man, 25 grand, let's go. Like, I wish. It'll come, I'm sure. But you have to enjoy the process, but you also have to insulate yourself from the ups and downs that inevitably is the marketplace. You're at the mercy of the marketplace and what the economy is doing.
And I can attest to that because before I started this business here, I was living in Las Vegas, and for close to 16 years, I was in real estate. And just like any other business, real estate has its ups and downs as well. And in my first 8 years, from 2004 to 2012, I specialized in doing lease options. So I was connecting owners, investor owners, with a lease option tenant buyer. And there were times that things were rough and really, really tough. Barely getting by. And there's other times where my gosh, I just like in 2011, I did 53 lease option real estate transactions.
Wow.
That's a very specific niche for for one town. So I mean,
right.
that was a hugely abundant year. But you have to plan for those. It's like the whole feast and famine. You have to plan for the famine times as well. Because I would tell you right now, for most towns, and I'm just going to go back to Las Vegas, the slowest time in real estate is November through January, because people don't move during the holidays. They're spending money for Christmas.
Right.
And then January, you know what they're doing in January? They're paying off their credit cards from December.
Yeah.
But in February, guess what happens then? Well, they start getting tax returns. Now they got money again. So you had to
March,
plan
April.
for those cycles. Yes.
Yep. Exactly.
I mean, I always told everybody that was in Vegas, like they'll come to me, says, like in October, says, hey, should I list my house for sale right now? I go, you're listing right before we start the slowest season of the year. It's going to sit. I would say probably not, unless you've got something that's really, really hot, I would suggest probably not listing during those time frames. That back when I was in real estate. Now, the thing is, just like what you just said, and this is with any business owner, I don't care if you sell lasagna or roses, or it doesn't really matter what your business is. You have to plan for those slower times. So don't go and live high on the hog when things are going really well. You have to plan for those times when things are going to be arid. There's going to be not going to be anybody there. Because if you overspend, that's going the quickest way to destroy your business, or to even go out of business, because you start living on this high expectation of money, but then when that money dries up, how are you going to pay for those bills then?
Right.
So you've told me about some of your successes. This is one of our last questions. What has been some of your biggest successes that you've experienced? I know you've been a 3-time TEDx speaker, and
Yeah.
um,
That's that. I mean, that's big. I mean, that's the Super Bowl of speaking, in my opinion. It's you've made it. When it comes up against me and another speaker, and they look at their credentials and they say that I'm a TEDx and he's just I'm a keynote, whatever. I mean, it's a no brainer. You're gonna pick the TEDx guy, you know.
absolutely.
But
Yeah, I'm actually.
I've also said that I sold my radio show. I started a radio show. It was a live online radio show that was repurposed into a podcast in 2017. It's called Life Transformation Radio. I had some of the biggest guests, Bruce Buffer from the UFC. I had Bruce Kulick, who was a guitar player for Kiss in the 80s and 90s. And I had Mark Victor Hansen from the Chicken Soup books. And I had Tom Ziegler, who was Zig Ziglar's son. And I had all these, I had people that nobody even knew. Then I had like the big name guests, like the ones that everybody wants, right? And I sold that show in 2021 for really good money. And I was like, I don't know anybody who's actually doing this, And then I talked to a couple of people like, oh my gosh, like, how did you do it? Then I talked about that. I was at podcast events, like Podfest, and they're like, well, I want to know how you did it. Like, what's going on? So then I became, known as like the guy who sold the show. And then other people started selling shows, and then, more light gets brought on to, to those people and stuff. And, and it is what it is. So it's just, I always want to be at the forefront of everything, like I want to be the guy. And who doesn't want to be the guy? Mm-hmm. But I would say that, yeah, selling a podcast, selling a radio show, there's not too many people that's done that.
And I'm going to say, because a lot of podcasts and radio shows, it's the host that is the reason people are tuning in. Right. And then when the host steps away, it's like, okay, then whoever's buying it, I guess they're buying the audience base, but they have to try and maintain that. So I was like, to me, that's a huge deal. Selling a restaurant or selling a car dealership, that's perfectly fine. But when you are the reason people are there, that's, to me, is a phenomenal feat. And congratulations on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So the last thing is, how can somebody that's listening out there, they want to start their own podcast, maybe they want to be an author or something, or they are dreaming to become a TEDx speaker, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, my website is The Success Corps, CORPS, like Marine Corps. I'm all over social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. Come send me a message, send me an email at Sean, SEAN, at thesuccesscorps.com. Send me a message. Ask any question you want.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Sean. I do appreciate you being here today. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us before we go?
Just start with the category in mind. You got to build the category first. Categories make the brands, not the other way around.
Okay, there you have it. So categories make the brand. Well, thank you, Sean, for being here today. And we look forward to anybody else that may also want to be part of the show. If you are interested, you could apply. We'll do a 15-20 minute pre-interview to make sure that we're a good fit. And in those cases, just go to optimalperformanceacademy.org/pre-interview. Again, that's optimalperformanceacademy.org, the pre-interview, and we'll go ahead and do that. Sean, thank you for being here today. And I want to say, everybody, until next time, be amazing.
Thanks for tuning in to another empowering episode of Business Amplified with Kevin A. Dunlap.
If you found value in today's insights, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share the podcast.
Keep amplifying your business. And remember, your success journey is our inspiration.
Until next time on Business Amplified, go out there and make your business thrive.